adoption and moving. What's going on? Keep watching and I will tell you. Hey guys, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick update kind of on what's happening with the adoption process because I'm moving and whatnot, kind of just to let you know what's happening. So for those that don't know, I am currently living in Ontario doing a horrible job for a horrible income, and it's just not sustainable. My plan was to complete a diploma in a different field and get a job in that because there seems to be a lot of job postings for it. What it comes down to is there are a lot of job postings for it, but there's also a lot of competition. So you end up competing against, say, 50 to 100 people from what I've seen. I don't know if you guys have in the States Indeed, but that's basically the website I've been going by. And you have 50 to 100 people applying for the same job, and it's very high competition. Most want you to have experience. It's just not working out the way I thought it would. Also, housing prices are increasing rapidly here. Cost of living is increasing rapidly here. It is just not working in my favor. It's not going to happen here. So, my other option is to leave here. So I will be relocating to Alberta, probably, hopefully, by next fall. I will be going into back to teaching. I'm a teacher, so I'm just going to go back to it. Or I will be going into early childhood educator, so working at a daycare. In Ontario, I can't work as an early childhood educator. They said that I don't have enough education, despite the fact that I have a Bachelor of Arts in Child and Family Studies and my Bachelor of Education. So despite having that, I don't have enough education. So they want me to go back to school for at least one more year before I can become a daycare worker. Whereas Alberta is like, hey, you're a teacher. Guess what? You are the highest level of daycare worker. So anyway, so that is actually an option out there. Out there in Alberta, it also pays more than it would here. So that's obviously a benefit, but teaching is kind of my goal. Teaching will pay better out there than I have ever made teaching in my life. I will have a road. That is my requirement. I tend to teach on First Nations reserves. And this would allow me to teach on a First Nation reserve with a road. They tend to pay less than a public school, for instance, but public schools are harder to get into. I am looking into one school board that I've been talking with a bit, that they seem to have openings because the growth in that school board is really big right now. However, because of stuff with my old school where we had high turnover of principals and admin was not on the ball, I'm lacking some reports. So trying to get things worked out so I can at least get my application in with them, because that is like my dream job, because it would be well paying. I would be in the city and I would be permanently in a city. And by city, I don't necessarily mean like a huge city. By city, I mean not a place where you have to fly or drive an hour plus to get to a grocery store. So I would be in either a city or a suburb of a city. That's my ultimate goal. But if I have to move to a more remote location in the meantime, I'm perfectly happy with doing that. My requirements are within an hour and a half of a grocery store, within an hour and a half of a vet, and within an hour and a half of a medical center. I have a lot of issues since, for those that don't know, I had a previous dog. He got sick. We were living in a very remote community. It was very hard to get a flight out. It cost me a small fortune to get him out to a vet, small fortune at the vet, and then to stay in the city while he was at the vet. And then we flew home, and his testing came back that basically inconclusive. They found things that were wrong, but they weren't quite sure. And in the end, it was something they could not fix, and he passed away. The day that happened was very traumatic for me. We were trying to get flights out, and flights were delayed, and just because the weather, it was cloudy and the air was too cold, I don't know. So planes couldn't fly because these are like tiny little planes that can't fly above the clouds and can only fly in certain conditions because it's not safe. So anyway, so flights were delayed and whatnot, and he passed away. And even though there's nothing the vet could have done, it was still really hard to not be able to get there. And then after that, I started having issues with myself, having anxiety and whatnot, because what if something happened to me and I can't get to a medical center, and whatnot, and then anxiety with my new dog, because what if something happened to her? Anyway, lots of new issues thanks to that event. So anyway, I will never go back to a place where I cannot drive. So my requirement, whoo, get back on track. So my requirement is that I'm within an hour and a half of civilization. Because no matter what, having that ability to hop in a car and drive is a lot less stressful to me. Sure, some stuff still might happen and whatnot, but it's just the ability to just drive, and feel like you're actually doing something instead of sitting around feeling helpless. So anyway, so yeah, so my short-term goal is just to get out there and get somewhere that I have a road. I would prefer early years, so kindergarten, grade 1, 2, or 3, preferably kindergarten, because that's kind of where I like to be. Get out there, get teaching. A reserve will pay a lot less than the public school, but at least I'll be getting experience out there. And every year of experience, for those that don't know how teacher salaries work, every year of experience, up to usually 10 years, you gain, you go up in the salary grid. So that's kind of my plan. Just get out there, get teaching again, make money, whatnot. I may or may not do the adoption while living not in the city. Previously, when I was in Manitoba, living in a remote community, I did do my adoption home study and everything for private adoption. It was complicated because I had to fly out to the agency for my adoption home study meetings. I had to fly a social worker up for my adoption home study visit, and things were so complicated. But the majority of that was because we had no road. Whereas at least in Alberta, even if I'm on a First Nations reserve, we will have a road. So the social worker, yes, I'll have to pay for mileage and whatnot, but they can just drive to my house. And I can just drive to wherever I need to do stuff. In terms of the classes, it works differently there. I don't actually need to do a class. It's more like, here's a study guide. You need to study the guide. And then that is part of your home study and whatnot. So there are some agencies that do classes and whatnot, but the agency I've been looking at is just a study guide. So because I've been through the adoption process before and I've done the adoption classes and I am a massive researcher, I don't have an issue with just doing the study guide. I think if for a first-time home study or someone who doesn't research like I do, the classes would be beneficial, because I found that when I did the classes before, you get to learn more in person, and it's more a lot of stories and a lot of first-hand experience, versus if you're just doing it from a book, you're not getting that first-hand experience. So anyway, so my plan is to just get somewhere and make money. That's kind of it. I can't do anything until I have at least $25,000 saved. That's whether I'm here, whether I'm there. It's just, I can't do anything because the process can happen so fast and fees come up so quickly that if I don't have at least that done, I can't get anything going. And then I also need to be able to prove to the social worker that I can then afford to pay the remaining fees, which is another $15,000. And this is where me working out there will be way better than here anyway, because the most I will make here is like less than half what I would make as a teacher, and it's not too much more than if I was doing a medical secretary if I was doing EC there. Medical secretary was what I was originally planning on doing here, so it won't be too much more as an EC, but it would still be a bit more, and I would be in the city, and eventually I'd want to get back to teaching. So teaching is kind of obviously my goal. So where was I? So anyway, I need to save up that money regardless, and it's taking this extra time to save up and move isn't really going to hurt anything in terms of saving for the adoption, because most likely when I move I will be hired by a school that is going to pay my travel expenses. do not have a lot of stuff. I have lived out of suitcases the majority of my adult life, so I don't have that much stuff, and I have a fairly decent sized vehicle, so whatever I can bring over, I can bring over. If I am teaching on a reserve, most likely I will be in a teacherage, which is like the teacher housing. A lot of them are either free or subsidized housing, so my rent will be either non-existent or super cheap. Come on, free housing. But they're also furnished, so I wouldn't have much furniture. Even if I did have to buy furniture, IKEA, I'm pretty frugal, so and if they're paying me relocation expenses, usually they'll pay more than what I actually need anyway, so therefore I wouldn't have any issue because I'd probably have enough money to buy basic furniture. I have an air mattress I can sleep on, like, not a big deal. And then obviously I would buy real furniture before my home study. But so yeah, so basically that's kind of my plan, kind of just seeing how things go. I'm applying right now to schools as I can, just because I would rather get out there as soon as possible, but nothing's a guarantee. But pretty sure by next fall I'll have a teaching position. If not, I'll probably move out there maybe end of August. I'm going to try to save up enough right now that I can move out there without a job lined up, because a lot of the EC positions I've been applying for want to do an in-person interview. Obviously that's not possible. So I've been getting a lot of responses though, so I'm not worried that once I get out there I won't be able to find a job. I just basically need enough money to get myself out there, and then maybe 1 or 2 months living expenses, just so that if I don't get hired right away, or if I get hired but the start date's not for a little bit, then I'm okay. And then once I'm out there, I'll do the EC while every year reapplying to schools. Like I said, I'm not too concerned because I'm pretty sure I'll have a teaching job next summer, like next fall. So I'll move out there in the summer, but that's kind of my plan. It's just a better financial decision to go back to teaching. It makes more sense. I have to leave my family, which is the hardest part, but my brother plans on moving out there. My parents plan on moving out there. Cost of living's cheaper there. And it just sets me up way better for the adoption stuff, like making double, triple what I'll make here, and have a good career again. I'll have benefits, I'll have pension and all that stuff. So it just makes more sense. The hardest part is leaving here, but like I said, knowing that my family's eventually going to come out there, even if it's just my brother, it makes a world of difference. And also, there's a lot of supports out there and whatnot too. So anyway, this was a rambly, long adoption update, but that's what's going on. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to post those down below. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you guys later. Bye guys!